Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm actually starting a brand new series and I'm going to teach you about astrology using movies, music, and TV shows. So I'm really excited. Today we're actually going to be learning about a Saturn and Sun conjunction and what this looks like when a person has this in their birth chart. So if you don't know if you have this conjunction in your chart, watch until the end of this video and I'm going to include a short video showing you how to actually check for this combination in your own chart. So I'm actually going to use a character from the animated series Avatar to explain this topic. Yes, cartoons. So if you've never seen the show, it's about this character named Aang who saves the world from destruction by becoming the Avatar and mastering all of the elements. And he can do all kinds of cool stuff like fly and control water and fire and stuff like that. But we're actually going to be talking about a different character from the show, the character Prince Zuko. So Prince Zuko, his character does an excellent job of showing what a Saturn and Sun conjunction looks like and how it actually plays out in a person's life. But more importantly, his character actually shows the process a person needs to go through to overcome a Saturn and Sun conjunction. Saturn and Sun combinations almost always create tension in the relationship with the father, or the person becomes separated from their father. This is because Saturn and the Sun are actually enemies, and these two planets, when they're combined together in the same house, they actually starve each other. Another way this combination can work is if these planets are looking at each other through something called a planetary aspect. And I'll show you how to check for this at the end of the video, so just hang on for that. So this is actually a very challenging karma to have to work through, especially if you're a male. Prince Zuko, he has a tense relationship with his father because they have different visions for the kingdom and for the Fire Nation as a whole. The tension that Prince Zuko has with his father, it's actually the primary motivating factor for why Prince Zuko is so determined to actually capture the Avatar. Prince Zuko was banished from the kingdom for publicly speaking out against his own father. And he couldn't return back to the kingdom without capturing the Avatar.
He was banished and sent to capture the Avatar. Only then could he return with his honor.
So in a Saturn and Sun conjunction, the person typically doesn't get validated for who they truly are. It's like being born into a family and environment that doesn't align with who the person is at a core level. For example, let's say you were born into a family of athletes, but you don't have an athletic bone in your body, but what you are really good at is something like art or science or math. And even though you're super skilled in those particular areas, the family and the home environment that you actually grow up in, they don't really value that. There's not a lot of emphasis placed on those particular skills or interests. So the child almost always feels like they're being judged and that they can't live up to the expectations of their environment. They feel like they're being judged based on criteria that don't align with them at a very core level. And as a result, the person often thinks about why they are the way they are and why they don't get validated or supported for those things that they're naturally interested in. So this can cause children particularly to develop a lack of self-confidence, because they can't be themselves and they're almost always fearful of being scrutinized or criticized. So Prince Zuko, he initially doesn't realize that the real reason, the actual reason he wants to capture the Avatar so badly is to actually win the approval of his father.
For so long, all I wanted was for you to love me, to accept me. I thought it was my honor that I wanted, but really, I was just trying to please you.
A person with this combination needs to learn to not put a lot of value on what their father or what authority figures in general think about them, and that they actually need to follow their own inspiration. A person with this combination will actually be much, much happier if they learn to value their own opinion more than the opinion of other people. If a person with this combination can't overcome this mental block, they will find themselves overcompensating. They want to be validated by authority figures in their life, or the person will overcompensate by trying to prove those authority figures wrong, and will actually invest their ego into proving themselves to other people. These are the people who go out of their way to try to prove a point, to try to show other people that they can do a particular thing. And when people actually watch the person doing these things, the person actually comes across as this very ego-driven individual.
I lost it all. I want it back. I want the Avatar. I want my honor, my throne.
But the interesting thing is, the person who's doing these actions, the person who's overcompensating, they're actually coming from a place of a lack of self-confidence, and actually they're trying to do things that are going to increase their ego. So it's actually really interesting of how this plays out, because what the person is feeling internally doesn't align with what people are seeing on the outside. Outside, the person looks like an ego-driven individual, but internally, the person is actually craving validation, and they want to be told that they're good. They want to be recognized for their skills and their talents. So as the show progresses, Prince Zuko actually realizes that he doesn't share the same vision as his father. They have different visions for how to run the kingdom, how to run the Fire Nation.
Someone new must take the throne. An idealist with a pure heart and unquestionable honor.
Unquestionable honor? But I've made so many mistakes.
Yes, you have. You struggled, you suffered. But you have always followed your own path. You restored your own honor. And only you can restore the honor of the Fire Nation.
And another thing that plays out in a Saturn and Sun conjunction is that the person has a difficult time being a good leader. Prince Zuko, when he's banished and told to go capture the Avatar, he has a crew with him, a crew of Fire Nation soldiers, and Prince Zuko has to be the leader and work with his team to actually find and capture the Avatar. But he has a difficult time being a good leader. And in these types of combinations, in a Saturn-Sun conjunction, a person has a difficult time being a good leader. And it's because Saturn is starving the Sun, and the Sun is also starving Saturn. So it's like these two negative forces kind of battling each other. So the Sun is actually our leadership capability and being someone that people can look up to. Initially, Prince Zuko isn't a good leader. He risks the lives of his crew quite a few times, simply because he's so fixated on capturing the Avatar as a way to soothe his own damaged ego.
Prince Zuko, consider the safety of the crew.
The safety of the crew doesn't matter.
People with this combination typically have a difficult time being successful in leadership positions because they let their own desires get in the way of what is best for the larger group. the person with this combination, they typically think that they are better or higher status than other people. And if they aren't being recognized as more important, they can be cruel and harsh to other people.
Wait! Step aside, Bill!
He means no offense. I'm certain you bathe regularly.
And it's really interesting the way this plays out, because on one level, the person is suffering from a lack of self-confidence. But on the other hand, the person actually, they want to be validated. They want to be told that they're good. The person's own goals can take priority, and they aren't concerned if other people are negatively impacted in the process. So to overcome this issue, the person must begin to align themselves with what is actually required to be successful in a leadership role. And the person needs to learn how to follow their own inspiration while also taking actions that benefit a larger group of people. They need to take other people into consideration. They need to try to do things that are going to help a larger group of people, but will also achieve the initial goal, or that they're going to achieve the goal that the person was inspired to go out and try to tackle.
I can't believe a year ago my purpose in life was hunting you down. And now...
And now we're friends.
Yeah. We are friends.
I can't believe a year ago I was still frozen in a block of ice. The world's so different now.
And it's gonna be even more different. We'll rebuild it together.
Another thing to note is that this combination, it actually becomes easier to manage after the age 35, because the planet Saturn matures after the age of 35, and the person becomes more aware of when their own ego is getting in their way. So there are many factors that go into analyzing a Saturn and Sun conjunction. So it's important to consider things like what planet is stronger between Saturn and the Sun, and also things like what house is this conjunction occurring in, and how close these planets are to one another in terms of degrees. All of these things will play a factor in how this combination plays out in a person's life. But ultimately, there is going to be some tension with the father or authority figures in general, and ego and self-confidence issues will need to be overcome. And the person will need to learn what it means to be successful as a leader. This is a difficult combination, but it can be worked on. It can definitely be improved, but it's going to take time. And a person with this combination just needs to be patient. And that can definitely be difficult, but I'm optimistic that at least gives you a grain of hope that if you have this combination and it's really something you're struggling with, things will get better. It's just going to take some time. Despite this combination, Prince Zuko still provides some great examples of how this energy of this conjunction can be transmuted into something more positive and beneficial. So I hope you found this video helpful. We're going to jump into the section where I'm going to show you how to check if you have this combination in your chart, either by conjunction, meaning the planets are in the same house, or by aspect, meaning that these two planets are looking at each other. All right, thank you. I'm going to show you how to check your birth chart to see if you have either a Saturn and Sun conjunction or a Saturn and Sun aspect. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to this website called Vault of the Heavens, and I've pulled it up here on Google, and you're going to want to click on this link to the chart creator. Okay, so I've actually went ahead and gone through the process, and I have some charts ready to show you guys, but this is going to be the first step. So I'm going to click on this tab over here, and this is going to be a Sun and Saturn conjunction. I have all the information inputted, and now I'm going to click continue. I would say go with North Indian because when I show you how to check for this, I'm going to be using the North Indian chart as the example. So it's just going to be easier to follow along if you also select North Indian. So I'm going to hit continue. And this person was born in California. So this is San Mateo, California. And I'm going to hit continue once again. Okay, so now we have a chart for a Sun and Saturn conjunction. So it's super simple to find this. Basically what you want to see is you want to see the letters SA and the letters SU basically in the same diamond. So each one of these is a diamond. I know some of these are cut off, but you can think of each one of these as a diamond. And if you look over here, you can see we have SA and SU, and they're together, meaning that there's a conjunction. They're in the same house. And then additionally, we can even see that they're kind of close in degrees. They're about 8 degrees away. So I would say that this is a pretty strong conjunction. And if you have any doubts about if you're identifying this correctly, you can actually scroll down and there's a table here called aspects to planets. So what you can do is if you go over here to this column for Sun, if I go all the way down and I see SA, which is Saturn, and there's a Y here. So that Y indicates that there's a conjunction. So this is confirming that yes, in fact, there is a conjunction between the Sun and Saturn. And if you have any more doubts, you can also confirm it once again. If I go to this column for SA, that's Saturn. And if I go down, okay, looking at the Sun, again, there's a Y. So that means there's a conjunction. So it's really easy to identify this in your chart. Okay, so that is a Sun and Saturn conjunction. Now I'm going to show you how to identify a Sun and Saturn aspect. So I have another chart over here. This is a Sun and Saturn aspect. And I'm going to once again use North Indian. And I'm going to click continue. And this person was also born in California. So let's see if we can find. Okay, here we go. So this person was born in California, and now we're going to hit continue. Again, going with North Indian. Okay, so now this is a Sun and Saturn aspect. Confirm if there is an aspect between Saturn and the Sun. It's super simple, and basically a aspect just means that the planets are looking at each other, and a conjunction means that they're sitting together. So again, an aspect means that the planets are looking at each other, and this is pretty easy to identify. So you're going to look for the letters SU and SA. So down here we see we have SU, which is the Sun, and up here we have SA, which is representative of Saturn. I know that there's the letter R here. Don't worry about that. That just means retrograde, but we don't need to be concerned about that for the purposes of this video. So to confirm if there is an aspect, you're going to go down here to aspects to planets. And as mentioned previously, if you see a Y in the square, that means that there's a conjunction. But we're looking for aspects. So we're actually going to be looking for a square that has a value in it, a numerical value. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the column of the Sun. So all the planets here in these rows on the left-hand side, these planets signify giving an aspect to the Sun. So the Sun is up here. This is the column for the Sun. Any planets over here are actually giving the Sun an aspect, meaning the planets here are looking at the Sun. So if we go up top and then we're in the column for the Sun and we're going to scroll all the way, we're going to go all the way down to Saturn. So we see a value here of 56. So this means that Saturn is aspecting or looking at the Sun to basically 56 out of 60 points. The maximum value that you can have in one of these squares is 60, which signifies a full aspect, meaning that the planets are directly looking at one another. So in this case, we see that Saturn is aspecting the Sun to 56 out of 60 points. This is a very strong aspect. So if we go over here to the column SA, signifying Saturn, and then we go down one row, we see SU representing the Sun. So this means that the Sun is aspecting or looking at the planet Saturn um, with 46 out of 60 points. So this is also a strong aspect. All you need to do is you want to confirm if there's a value. So if we look here for the column of the Sun and we go down and we see Saturn and we see a value of 56. So that means Saturn is aspecting the Sun to 56 out of 60 points. Okay? And then we confirm also what's going on with Saturn. So Saturn is receiving an aspect, meaning the Sun is looking at Saturn with 46 out of 60 points. Any value 30 or higher means a strong aspect. So as we can see here in the case of Saturn, Saturn is giving a 56 point aspect out of 60. This is a very powerful aspect. Same thing here. The Sun is giving Saturn an aspect of 46 out of 60 points. That's very powerful. Remember, anything over 30 points is powerful. So I hope this is clear and explains how to confirm if there is an aspect between the Sun and Saturn in your chart. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. All right, thank you.